Today we're going to continue with our univariate data notes, and you can see at the top we're going to be doing percent and then what's called box and whisker plots. So the first we're going to start with is the percents. So in this type of questions you're going to be given kind of like a table of information, and we're going to need to answer a bunch of questions about the table that we're given. Now if you look down here, it says what percent of all these graduates join the military. If we look at our table, we can see how many people joined the military in each year. We can see how many people were employed, how many were other, but we don't even have the total amount of people that are in the that were questioned here, okay? So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add up all of these values of the table. We're going to have to add up all the people who went to continuing education, all the people who were employed, all the people who went into the military, all the people who were other. Then we're going to have to add all the people in 1959, all the people in 1970, and all the people in 1980. So we can start by adding across the top, 197 plus 388 plus 320 gives us 905. If you want, you can extend this table out here so you can see what we're figuring out. Then we're going to do 103 plus 137 plus 98, 338. 20 plus 18 gives us 56. 13 plus 58 plus 45 gives us 116. So now we're going to do the same thing for our columns. 197 plus 103 plus 20 plus 13 gives us 333 people in 1959. 388 plus 137 plus 18 plus 58 gives us 601 in 1970. 320 plus 98 plus 18 plus 45 gives us 481 in 1980. And now we need to find the total amount of students here, so we can either add these three numbers together or we can add those four numbers together. I'm adding the numbers at the bottom, and then I'm going to add these four numbers to the side just to show you that it does not matter which two numbers or which numbers you use, you still get the same number, and that's the total amount. That's 1415. So now that we have all these numbers, we can figure out the different percentages. When these questions are given to you and they're worded here, the first thing that they're talking about is what's going to go at the bottom of the fraction. So what percent of all these graduates joined the military? So all of the graduates all together is 1415. So at the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to have 1415. And then military will be at the top. How many people joined the military? 56 people joined the military. So 56 divided by 1415. So in our calculators, we do 56 divided by 1415, and we get this decimal point here. To turn a decimal into a percent, we multiply by 100, and we get 3.95759, which we can round just to 4%. I'm okay if you round it to the whole number. I will give you credit for that. So now the next one says, what percent of these students, okay, so of the students, graduated in 1970? So our students, altogether our students are 1415, so again we're going to have 1415 at the bottom. And now this time we want graduated in 1970. So 1970 we had 601 student. So 601 at the top, 1415 at the bottom. 601 divided by 1415 is 0.42. Multiply it by 100. We can round this, and it just says 42%. Part C says, what percent of the 1970 graduates So out of the 1970 graduates, there's 601 of them, so 601 will be at the bottom, joined the military. So our military column, military in 1970 is 18. 18 divided by 601. 18 divided by 601, multiply by 100. We get 2.995, which we should round that up to 3 and say 3%. Question D says, of the students in the surveys who joined the military, so who joined the military? Our military column is 56. What percent graduated in 1970? So out of the 56, how many were in 1970? That 18. So 18 over 56 times 100, we get 32%. Down here it says provide a graph to represent this data. So what they're talking about when they're saying a graph, they're talking about a bar graph or what's called a histogram. Histogram and bar graph are the same. So we want to create a bar graph for the data. Now we have 4 pieces of information here: continuing ed, employed, military, and other. So what I'm going to do at the bottom is I'm just going to write continuing ed, employed, military, and other. My smallest number is down to 13 and my highest number is at 388, so I'm just going to go by 100s, and this does not have to be absolutely perfect. You just have to draw kind of what the situation is talking about. You will not get extra points if you have the prettiest graph in the world, so don't try to spend too much time on this. If you want, you can use different colors, or you can make yourself a little key to the side to show which colors represent what. I'm going to use 3 separate colors. I'm going to do all my 1959 in green. I'm going to do all my 1970 in yellow. And I'm going to do all my 1980 in red. So now what I'm going to do is my 1959 for continuing ed is at 197. So I'll go up to where 197 is and make a bar. In 1970 it was 388, so I'll go up to 388. Make a bar. In 1980 it was 320, so 320, and I make a bar. And we're just going to continue on the same way until we fill in all of our bars. So we have about 103, and these bars don't need to be perfect, they just need to be in the general area. If it says that it's supposed to be at 98 and you have the bar going all the way up to 400, then it's definitely going to be wrong and you will lose points. But as long as it's within the general area of where it should be, and I can see that you're trying your best to keep it where it should be, you'll get full credit. And you can see that with these others and the military, these numbers are so tiny. Oh, I forgot my other. That bars like that would be absolutely fine. Okay? So now what I want you to do is pause this video, and I want you to try question number 2 on your own. Now in question number 2, they're talking about what's considered a foreign car. Foreign cars are anything that's not an American car. So when it's talking about our foreign cars here, they want you to add up the European and Asian cars together. Okay, so pause this video now and complete question number 2. When you are finished with question number 2, come back and check your answer. Hopefully you did listen to the directions and you did pause the video, and now you are watching the end of it. So here we had our total values, so make sure that these values matched up with my values here. I'm just going to go kind of quickly through this question, filling in all the information. In the first question, because we're talking about the foreign cars, it says all the cars and then foreign cars. All the cars was 359. Foreign cars, we had to add up 45 and 102 together, and we got 147. That gave us a percent of 41. American cars, students. American cars was 212. Students were 107. Our percent, 50%. What percent of students owned American cars? Students altogether is 195. American cars was 107. Our percent, 55%. Again, we would have a graph to represent this data here. I'm not going to draw what this graph should look like. I think you guys are capable of drawing a graph that looks like this one up here, our histogram, okay, with American, European, and Asian cars over here, okay?